truth. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. In last week's reading, we saw that the great masters themselves counsel discretion in the dissemination of truth. The counter-argument is sometimes made, but the Lord doesn't hide. He reveals His beauty in the sunsets, His tender sympathy in the rain, His wrath in the thunder, His restless energy in the brooks, His power in the sunlight. There are exoteric truths, and there are also esoteric truths. There is that which is revealed impersonally and left up to us to interpret, such as the thunder and our perception of it as divine wrath, the rain and our perception of it as God's sympathy. But behind even God's most open expressions, there lies impenetrable mystery. The wind blows where it wills, said Jesus in the chapter 3 of the Gospel of St. John. You hear the sound of it, but you do not know where it comes from or where it is going. So is everyone who is born of the Spirit. And Sri Krishna says in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, by me the whole vast universe of things is spread abroad. By me the unmanifest. In me are all existences contained, not I in them. God's hidden reality cannot be understood by the reasoning faculty. India's Sankhya philosophy states frankly, Ishvar Ashida, God is not provable. A willingness to seek the underlying reality behind appearances is essential for those who would know God. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Happy Sunday to everyone again. So I don't know if you paid attention in this moment to what was read. If I ask you, do you remember what has been read? So I want to tell you two phrases on which I want to concentrate that Swami Kriyananda just said in this reading. He says, behind even God's most open expressions, there lies impenetrable mystery, a willingness to seek the underlying reality behind appearances is essential for those who would know God. So what does he say in this moment? He says that we see appearances in front of us, we see matter, we see a body, but behind everything, right here, there is a mystery that we cannot see with our physical eyes. And then he says, if you want to know what is behind all appearances, you need to have a willingness to seek what is behind. And I think that in this room and all of you following online, we are all united here because we do have the desire, the willingness to look behind. God is not far away. The mystery is not far. It is here. And all the practice of yoga and meditation is a little bit, serves a little bit to take away this mask of creation, to go towards the mystery. And that's where we start from. Are you all with me? I hope that you want this. Because in truth, in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, out of 1,000 people, one seeks this truth. If you go into the city and look around, 1,000 of those people, and only one wants to go toward the mystery of life. And you are one out of this 1,000. So now we ask ourselves, but how do I do this? How can I perceive this great thing, this mystery, this hidden presence behind everything that interests me, that I want to know behind all appearances? How do I do this? So we need to train ourselves with two eyes, the two great eyes, to see the mystery. And maybe you understood already what are these two eyes. Put your hand on your forehead for a moment. This is the gaze through which you can see through the veil of appearances. This is one eye that looks beyond, that looks toward the mystery. Now put your hand on your heart. This is the heart that sees, that perceives, that receives. Try to understand this for a moment. Also in meditation, you look here up to the spiritual eye, but then the presence of the mystery, the answer, the love, the great love that you feel arrives here in your heart. And Yogananda says, these two centers, these two eyes, they need to work together. That's how the mystery of life is revealed. In India, this is called, maybe Renato knows this, maybe one of the Indians know it too. It's called Brahma Rahasya. And this means the same thing. Brahma is God, and Rahasya is the mystery. And there's a famous story of, maybe you know him, Narada. Do you know who Narada is son of? Narada is a great devotee of Vishnu, but he's not the son of Vishnu. He is the son of Brahma. And he is a son of the mind of Brahma. It's called whatever, Vimana's Putra. And Narada is this great messenger of God, and he goes to Brahma and says, look at the people, I come from the world, and they cry everywhere, they suffer everywhere, they are tense, they are afraid, and there's suffering and pain of all kinds, body, mind, and spirit. And how is this possible? And Narada says, God, Brahma says to Narada, Narada, I haven't created human people to live like this. This wasn't my intention, my goal. Teach them, go to them, and teach them how to go towards the mystery of life, to find their own soul. And within this soul, they will find the union with the great eternal mystery. And so Narada, he is so happy, and he goes down on earth and he starts singing his favorite song. He's a devotee of Vishnu, of Narayana, and so he sings everywhere this song, Narayana, 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 mystery of life, Narayana, 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 Narayana. And so people learn again how to find the mystery of life. I have just read the history of a singer whom you all know. It's a modern singer. Maybe she's also a bit sensual, a bit mundane, a bit weird, maybe a bit weird for spiritual taste. But I understood one thing, and I want to read this from you. And in every one of us, physiologically, in our brain, we have a mechanism that makes us seek the mystery of life. And I want to read this to you from neurological science. There is a part of the brain linked to the extrasensory reality. The brain is the brain extrasensual? Some people say it's the right hemisphere of the brain which is intuitive. Others say that it's some gland that connects the physical world to the spiritual world. So scientists are just starting to discover this, that there is a part of our brain responsible to understand the mystery of life. Yogananda would probably agree to the second thesis, that there is this gland, pineal gland, because he also talks about the spiritual eye as the eye that sees everything. So the gland is in the upper part of the brain. He would probably say it's not enough. There is another brain, another eye, and that's the heart. And nowadays the scientists try to find out. The scientists found out that the heart is made in the physiological way in a very similar way to the brain. It's as if the heart would be our second brain, not our stomach. Maybe the stomach is the third brain, but the second brain is our heart. And if these two open up, then we can get closer to the mystery of life. It's something really as nature has made us. It's not something weird. And this singer, she sings about many different topics, but she has also this sensor. She knows there's something else in life. I want to go beyond. I want to feel. And she wrote a song. Maybe what some of you know this song, maybe not. And it goes like this. It says fundamentally, life is a mystery, and on the path of mystery you walk alone. Feel the mystic presence calling you, and you will feel at home. Now I don't know if I'm able to, but she sings more or less like this. I ask pardon. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home. Life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home. Life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home. Così. And yogis come to bring us from a very material life to the mystery. of life. Yogananda said, you don't see it, but there are angels here right now. Many angels that pass by, that love temples, that love beauty, they love sattva, they love these kind of meetings. And you do not see them because you are too blind. This is the mystery to which we want to awaken to. Just a little bit at least. And let's try to think of other mysteries of life. One thing that they ask us always, I cannot give you the answer, but I ask you a question which they always ask here at Ananda. God is a God of bliss. God is a God of complete love. How is it possible that from this being so pure, so divine, so blissful, full of love, a world like this is born, where there's all this war, all this suffering, all this injustice? How is this possible? So the yogis might give you an answer, but it's even better if you open your eyes, your great eyes of mystery. If you look through these eyes here, in the heart and in the spiritual eye, and you say, God, explain to me the mystery. You say this through the spiritual eye, and then you hear the answer in your heart. Yogananda asked this question through the spiritual eye, and he received the answer in his heart. The mystery of not only of life in general, but of your life. How comes that you are here, that I'm here in this jungle of life? What is my role? What do I need to do? Each one of us has a role to play, and this is a mystery. And the mystery is revealed if you look here in the spiritual eye. That's the eye that looks out, and then you receive the answer in the heart, in the eye of the heart. And that's where you understand the mystery of your life. And like this, you are not lost in life. And Yogananda talks about the mystery of death too. I don't know if you have ever seen a dead person. There is an atmosphere of mystery around it. When you see a dead body and you are there, there's a silence, something very special, particular, a mystery around a dead person. And Yogananda wrote in the autobiography, when his mother died, maybe you have read the autobiography of a yogi, maybe some of you. She's reading it right now. And Yogananda was 11 years old, poor boy, poor little Yogananda, when his mother dies. And he writes, when we came back to our house in Kolkata, we couldn't do anything else than contemplate the mystery of death, a mysterious silence, an silent atmosphere. And what is this death? Who is death? And one religion gives this answer, one religion gives that answer. Ananda says this, someone else says that. But knowing, you need to know by yourself. You look here in the spiritual eye. That's the eye that asks the question. And then you feel the answer in your heart. These are the big, great two eyes of the mystery. And it's the same thing, what we always say here, the mystery of your own self. You are a mystery and you don't know. You see yourself as a man, as a woman, as an Italian, but it's a mystery what you are. You cannot see yourself in a mirror. That's not who you are. And I read to you from the Apocalypse, the mystery of the 7 stars that you saw in my right hand, and of the 7 golden lampstands is this. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 lampstands are the 7 churches. And you can study about this. You can study at Ananda. You can read my book about the chakras, but that's not the yogic way. If you want to really understand the mystery of yourself, you need to use your two eyes, these two. I am very interested also in knowing about this mystery in this way. God says, you are made in God's image. You are of divine substance. You are a divine being. How is it possible that such a being, you, I, all of us, that we can become little devils, vultures? I want to tell you a story of Yogananda's life. He went to America in 1920, and in 1925 he settled down in Los Angeles, and he built his headquarters of Self-Realization Fellowship. And in that moment, there lived in Los Angeles one of the most famous preachers, evangelists of those times. There was a very famous man, his name was Billy Sunday, and then there was this famous woman, because in that era, women couldn't preach, women couldn't even vote in America, and she alone, she lost everything. She lost her husband, she lost everything, and alone she stood up and she put up a great work, and she talked to thousands of people, and she's very charismatic and very strong. And Yogananda, she lived in Los Angeles with a super enormous church, and Yogananda too. So Yogananda went to her to feel, to listen to one of her revival meetings, and where they talk in a very theater way, they preach in a very strong way. And Yogananda was there in the midst of this thousands of people, and this woman, her name is Amy Semple McPherson, and you can read about her in the internet. And she was super magnetic. Thousands of people came to her to listen to her, and she said, "You are all sinners, down on your knees." And all this sea of people went down on their knees, and one figure kept standing. And this person said, "I cannot accept this teaching. That's not of Jesus." And imagine all these people on their knees. And this woman then, a few years after that, she was in a scandal, which at the end turned out not to be true. But I'm not going to tell you this story. But the newspapers attacked her, and because they were jealous, and they became like vultures. Yogananda calls them like this, vultures. And he wrote an article in his journal, East West, to defend this woman. And he wrote that the people didn't understand how much good this woman did. Even maybe if they weren't on the same page, but can you not see how many people found faith, found God through her? And he wrote the great works that she did, inspiring thousands of people. The newspapers are vultures, and the newspapers just try to attack the small mistakes of great people, and they increase just the mistakes, and they just want to destroy the reputation. And that, like this, they want to destroy everything they created. And unfortunately, the newspapers succeeded in destroying her work, and they are still followers of this woman, but from a very, very great work. There are only a few left. But what I want to say is, how can a divine soul become a vulture? Ask yourself, you, yourself, I, myself, people. In truth, we are all angels. How is it possible, mystery of life, that a soul can become something black, something that wants to destroy? That's the mystery of life. Ask through the spiritual eye that looks towards the mystery, and then feel the answer in your heart that receives the mystery. And maybe in your heart you can understand the playing game of mystery and the mystery of the avatars, of the masters, of Jesus. You cannot understand it through a lesson. You need to understand from inside. What is an avatar? The head, the mind cannot understand this mystery. The head cannot understand. What can understand is your inner gaze toward the mysterium and your perception of the mystery. And here Swami Kriyananda, he wrote another song on this mystery, the mystery of Jesus, and many of you know this. And it says, who tells to me this mystery? How a tiny babe in a manger laid could so many hearts to love persuade, this holy Son of Mary. And I like to see how masters behave. You don't understand masters always. Sometimes they behave in a very weird way, and you don't understand because you have your ideas how a saint should behave. And even Swami Kriyananda, when he arrived at Yogananda's, he was puzzled on how sometimes even, let's say, childish Yogananda could behave in a very young way. So Swami sometimes was puzzled, and when he was in India, he would. There were saints who would just lay on the ground and get into ecstasy. And there was a saint. Her name is Lala Yogeshwari, and she was a mystical poet, and she was very famous, and she wrote beautiful poems. She was a rishi, people say, and she says, my guru gave me only one concept. From the outward, bring your gaze in and fix it on your inner self. Taking to heart this only concept, and nude, naked, I started dancing. And she became famous. And Swami Kriyananda talks about her, that she was naked. She would walk around India, Kashmir, naked. She would dance naked with God. And people were a bit scandalized about this. You can imagine, how naked? What's this all about? And she would answer, I don't see any man here. So why should would I need to dress or feel ashamed? And then a great saint would arrive in the same zone, and she said, oh my God, let me run and let me dress. And she's dressed, and then she said, finally a man has arrived in front of me. So in India, sometimes saints throw stones against their devotees, and we always think a saint should behave like this, talk like that, dress like this, otherwise he or she is not a saint. A saint cannot be rich, for example, but that's all outward. If you want to understand a saint, you need to enter into the mystery, in the mystery that that particular saint is living. And how do we do this? How do we do this? Show me. How do we look towards the mystery? With our two eyes. Let's come to a closure now. There are many things. Let me say some last thing because I don't want to and say too much, to go too long. Do you know the mystery of physics? If you have an object, let's say we put a watch there that measures time. If I move this object, does time has a certain velocity? If I move it, time becomes less. And you cannot measure this on the earth because the earth is so slow. But if you accelerate, then the time of the same watch becomes less. And if it gets towards light velocity, there's no time. There's no time anymore. Isn't that a mystery? Einstein, and he understood this, and I'm going to read to you something from Einstein. He didn't understand this from his rational mind, he perceived this truth, and he says, the most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. And maybe you knew already what I just told you. I'm going to tell you something else. This object has a certain measure, right? So if I accelerate this, it becomes smaller. If I accelerate this a lot, it gets smaller and smaller. This is science. And if it arrives at the velocity of light, there's no object anymore. Isn't that a mystery? There are scientific names to these things, but it's time contraction. And it's incredible. It's a mystery. This life is a mystery. You are sitting in a mystery, and we don't see it because obviously we are captured by our children, by our job, by our work. We need to make money. We are suffering, and so we are captured. And who watches, who seeks the mystery? That's the call of yoga. And now I want to finish with this, the mystery of all mysteries, which is God, Yogananda. And I read to you, and you try to absorb these words. The honey of God, though sealed in mystery, is what the soul truly craves. To one who finds him within, God is no longer an unknown mystery concealed by his various material manifestations. When God gives himself to the devotee, he has given everything, his ever-existing, ever-conscious, ever-new bliss, love, wisdom, oneness with spirit in which the mystery of life is no more. The ultimate knowledge of every God mystery is bared to no one who makes himself ready to read the book of life. Whenever and in whatever way the Lord opens its pages to him. Without inner realization, truth remains a mystery to man, only dimly imagined or otherwise surmised by the intellect. So close your eyes for a moment. Try to turn the head off, which will not understand the mysterious. Try to look beyond the veil of appearances to something eternal. Keep your heart open. This is the receiving eye. And together these two eyes reveal the mystery of life and of God. And I will read to you very mysterious words from Yogananda, from whispers of eternity, wandering through forests of incessant searching, I arrived at the mystery door which conceals thy presence. I knocked loudly on this door of silence with persistent blows of faith. At last the door opened, and I beheld thee resting on thy altar of glorious visions. I stood with restless gaze, waiting for thee to speak. Thy creation-making voice was inaudible. At last, a deep stillness stole upon me and taught me in whispers the language of angels. With the lisping voice of my newborn freedom, I tried to speak. Suddenly, the lights in thy temple wrote brilliantly in letters of light. In my little chamber of quietness, I am ever at rest. I never speak now, but with the voice of silence. Through my silence, O divine lover, converse thou eloquently with me. I wish you that you can develop your two great eyes of mystery.